Alrighty, I'm ready to work on this again. Got a fan, cleaned it up, spins great. Little screw wheel interacting with that wheel right there. It's pretty cool. And then this is the replacement movement that I got for parts. It doesn't show any maker marks on it anywhere. It has a face. It has a busted hand, kind of like the one I busted. And I don't need these hands or this face plate, but got some spare pins I can use, which is good. And this little knob that screws on and off, that's what I need for the other clock, so that's good. So I'm going to start taking this other one apart. I compared, they are both loop-in springs, but if you look at them where they're side by side, this one's bigger than that one. It's taller, so I'm thinking that's a replacement one, and so I'm going to get this one off and use it. I wanted to show you an easier way to get this little alarm hand off if you're having trouble. You can see that this just has the tail. The tip's already been bent and broken off and kind of bent on the side. Somebody was having the same problem I was. So what I was thinking about when I looked at the video was maybe there was some way to release it under here. And there is. You can see, if you know that that shaft that the hand is attached to is long, you can look up under here and you can see a space. Put your screwdriver in there, pry in that little space, and the little hand popped right off of there. So, same with this one. This one, even the second hand is tight. I'm going to loosen it up from the bottom. I did put some oil on it, loosen it from the bottom. It comes right out of there. So, I guess you just have to know how they're built to get them apart easier. Alright, on to the middle hands. I had all three of these available. I thought I would compare the differences. They are kind of like other clocks. Like cuckoo clocks, we identify them by the cutouts. So all three of these have a different design at the top. This one is a totally different design. This is the Junghans one that's got the fan up and down. And other than that, the gears cutout looks like a little C and a little triangle looking thing, trapezoid. All these things are kind of in the same place. These two have their fan going sideways. The gear that they interact with is up and down this way, and their gear is on the end. Their fan, sorry. This one didn't come with a fan, but that would be where it was right there. On all the sequence of the gears is the same. It looks like this one's closer to this plate, but the same gears right there. They just put the lantern pinion up here and the gear down there. Like all of it is pretty similar, except the Junghans one is different. And then the front looks different. It's a rectangle with the same little trapezoid, and then this little guy. There's not one on the other side. This one looks the same on both sides. The cutouts are the same, except this one does not have a square. And then this one looks the same on both sides to me, except for the little pallet pin verge guy is up here on this little thing, and right here they just put it as part of the plate. I don't know why, because so many of them made it a separate little piece. So just comparing. They're all three music boxes, but this is the back, this is the back, and this is the back. Notice these two have their music box thingy on the front, and this one is on the back. So little differences maybe help you identify a company. I don't know who made this one. This was one I bought just for parts. It's more similar to the HAC one than it is the Junghans one. Possibly an HAC after they were taken over by Junghans. I don't know. Because if you compare the balance wheels, they're the same. They've gone to the stainless steel with a little copper hairspring, and this is a brass with a whatever metal they used to use. It's kind of greenish blue looking, like maybe it's blued something, I don't know. So possibly HAC when it was still its own company, and HAC after Junghans took it over, because there's still some similarities to the HAC, but there's also similarities to the Junghans. So, more intrigue. I wanted to show you this slot that's on here. Let me find something to point with. Right there, that I had talked about on the little collet that holds the hairspring. Hairspring is embedded in this end. Starts curling around, and then this whole thing is crimped onto here, onto your balance wheel arbor. So this is where you put a tool, little screwdriver, in that little slot, and then turn this, and it'll keep the collet in place while you turn the wheel, and you can adjust it wherever you want. And it should be kind of snug. The one that's on my clock is not snug. It slips very easily. So the solution is going to be, I'm going to pinch it tighter when I get it back together. So this is like any other little pressure fitted piece. If you separate this, that's how you get this off. I didn't separate it after all. Anyway, you get the point. Okay, parts movement taken apart. Got out the mainspring arbors and the springs. So here's our one good spring that we're going to put on this movement that needs a spring. And then the other movement that needed a click spring, I think I'm going to be able to change out the whole arbor piece. So I think I'm going to be able to fix both clocks with this one purchase. So that's not bad. $10 a clock. $20 for the two. Alright, I got that spring off. I got it put on here. Looks good. That's the one right there that I replaced. Got the metal, whatever that bar is right there, back on there. I tried to put one on the time side too through that little hole, but this is just a hair wide to be able to do that. It was going to put too much pressure on the spring, so I did not put one over there. So everything is back on, working. I've tested it. It still works in every position. So I believe I'll put the face on and let it run overnight, make sure it's going to keep running before I put the hands on. Well, this was a great sign when I came into the clock shop this morning, aka my desk where I sit and have coffee. Clock was still running. I did put the hands on last night so that I could see if it was keeping accurate time. And this one is going to go off every 24 hours, the alarm. No matter what, if it's wound, it's going to go off. Hence why those guards are on there, so that it doesn't keep going out and bust your glass out. And so it ran all night, and when it hit the alarm, which was set for about 5 o'clock, it played until it couldn't play anymore. So all of that looks great. As far as the hands, okay, stop now, stop. I can't talk while you're doing that. So apparently, without a shut off, although this little slow button might do something. Let's see if it'll shut it off. Maybe. We'll try it. And that's not going to stop it. They could have put a little shut-off feature right there to be able to shut your alarm off, but apparently you have to change the time on the alarm every day. So when you turn it, it gets earlier, and that shuts it off. When you're putting the hands back on, I like to, I've not had one with a second hand before, so I put the second hand on first. Then I put the hour hand, well, I turn the alarm dial until I hear it click that the spring has popped up and it's ready to play the alarm, and I set that for midnight. And then I put my hands on for midnight so that I have some idea of where this is going to be, since there's no time on the back of the dial. And this is what I'm talking about. Some clocks have a dial on the back, so you can tell, but there's nothing pointing to it, so you still can't really tell. So I did the same thing with this clock. I put the when I did put the hands on, I activated the alarm. When it activated, I put that for midnight and put my hands on for midnight. Then what I did was, and don't do this, I turned the minute hand to set it to the current time, and the hour hand wouldn't move. So I went, it's not a cuckoo clock. Reached back, turned the dial on the back, everything worked fine. I thought, I'm pulling pictures out. What did I put together wrong? The hands aren't moving. Check all my gears. No, you got to use it like it was designed. Use the knob on the back. All the hands worked fine. And that kind of got it off from, I didn't know where the alarm was set as far as the hour hand, because the hour hand didn't move, and I moved the minute hand around. But I was not going to pry this off again because I had to repair it when I put it back on, and it's just going to break again the next time it's taken apart. To repair that little hour hand, you know, it's got a tall base on it, and the hand just sits on top, and there's a rolled piece of metal that holds the hand onto that long base. And so I flattened out the hand, I put it on my staking block, I tapped it with the round side of my hammer, my mallet, and it pinged the metal back over the edge of the hand and made it stick together again. And so I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to wind this up, and I'm going to put it back in the case. And we're going to listen to the pretty song, and then we're going to be done. One thing I would say is try to replace everything you take off, and try to find stuff to replace. This is the only clock I've run across that has a bracket at the top. Most of these are only mounted at the bottom. The one that I use beside my bed does not have the wood base. The music box is mounted to the bottom of it, and it sounds like a tin box because it echoes around inside the tin box. And this one is braced at the top. It's got wood for this, and it's got wood for this. So if you secure everything, it should not be that rattly tin sound. It should be a really very pretty sound. So I made a couple of screws for the ones that were missing. I know they don't look anything like it, but they're going to work. They fit in the hole. And I'm going to replace nuts and washers that are missing, because I hate when people take stuff apart and only put it back together halfway. You got to have pride in your work, people. Whatever job your job is, have pride in what you're doing. That's what they used to teach Americans. So yeah, I'm going to put this back in the case. Y'all don't need to see that. I'm going to slip it in, put some screws on it, and then I'll join you back again. Almost got it back together. I have to say that without this missing piece of glass, you can't put the case together and then put the movement in it. It's too tall. So, like, this bracket comes off and you can slip it in, but this is a millimeter or so too tall. You have to take this little clamp off for the fan, and so the only way to put this together, if your glass is intact, is you're going to have this all loose and build the frame around the movement. It was more challenging than I thought it was going to be. But anyway, we're down to the bottom. I cannot find a nut to fit on that. It's not a 4, it's not a 6, so I guess it's a 5, and I don't have any 5s. So right now it's going to stay like it is. This little divot that I talked about when I was taking this apart goes over this wheel because it's slightly taller than the base of the music box. So in case it needed some extra room, they've hollowed that out. This base didn't want to sit flush when I got it. I was able to torque it a little bit and get it flat where it wouldn't rock anymore. The clock used to rock back and forth a little bit. I did do some more research on the Junghans clocks, and that A24 is the year, and the A is the first half of the year, and the 24 is the year, because I found some with a B and a 20, and so A is the first half of the year. If you have one of these, number here, A means first half of the year, and then the last 2 digits of the year. There's a 26 stamped right there. I wonder why. The S for the Swearingen factory. And then some of the other Junghans movements. This one says it up here, Junghans, Germany. But some of them have a stamp here that's the typical little star design with the J in it. And you might have 2 small numbers underneath it also. That'll be the year of the movement manufacturer. That is what I discovered. Alright, so we're going to try this out and see what happens. I'm turning this backwards. I'm not turning it anyway at all. Let's see. Turning it backwards to 7 o'clock. Because I want to hear the music and see what it sounds like. I like it. But I like piano music anyway, and this makes me think of piano music. I always wait for the end of the song so that it's not putting pressure on the little keys of the board. Anyway, if you couldn't hear me, I wait for the end of the song, the little gap where there's no little teeth pecked out, so that it doesn't lift any of the tines of the comb and put pressure on them. So there we are. I like it. I hope y'all have enjoyed this video. This has been a pain in the butt clock to work on. I've only done 2 other carriage clocks before this one, and this was definitely the hardest movement. Even the replacement movement that I got in was easier to take apart than this movement. Except for the fact that the alarm dial would come out without having to take that little spring off. That's the only bad part about the HAC movement that I worked on. So there it is. I think it came out really well, and I want to use it for a long time. Hope y'all enjoyed this video, and I hope it helps.